Wow, okay. So it's been a long time before I sit. So folks, I used to sort of vlog, and I didn't even know that that's what it was. It's been a long time since I sat in this chair, looked up at my GoPro, and talked like this. You may have noticed that if you followed my channel. You may have seen me out doing a lot of stuff, talking about my Mavic Pro, talking about new gear I've got, taking you to some cool places that I wanted to show you because I'm proud of where I live and love where I live. I've done a lot of just talking about stuff, doing product reviews, doing software tutorials, just a lot of, this is what's kind of going on in my life kind of things, but not really talking to the camera in a personal sort of way. This is the funny thing is about 6 months ago, honestly, I discovered Casey Neistat. And so it was funny how it was Jamie Hastings that told me I should really need to go look at Casey Neistat, really need to go look at Casey Neistat. He's just finished this vlog, which was a pretty awesome vlog. Now, regardless of what you think about Casey, regardless of what you think about his politics, his lifestyle, or whatever else, I think it's pretty cool what he did. It was funny how I went there and I looked and I said, well, there's some similarities to what I've been doing for a good long while and what Casey does. It's just he has a lot of energy. He's younger than me. He has better gear. He has a lot more time, I guess. I'm working, sometimes 10, 12 hours a day in my crazy job. And I've been just on a weird little journey career-wise here for the last 3 or 4 years. And a lot of things have been changing in my life. And I've been wanting to talk about things, not just do the product reviews, not just do the tours, not just do the software tutorials and all that. But it's been a little hard for me to talk in a personal way to folks on YouTube here lately. And I'll tell you why and when. It's been since my dad died. If you go back October before this past one, 11 months or so ago, you'll see where my dad died. And he had this long bout with ALS. It wasn't really long. From the time he was diagnosed to the time he died, it was about 2 years. And so I want to talk about that at some point. I want to talk about what it was like having a person with ALS in your family, and particularly I want to talk about the challenge it posed to my mom, because she took it on herself to become his caregiver, and it became way more than she can handle toward the end. And I'm not quite prepared to talk about that, but I kind of would like to do. I know it sounds like a downer talking about ALS, and I do want to go back to talking about my dad at some point, though, and talking about that and what it was like. But I guess I'm at a point right now in my life where I'm not ever going to be somebody like Casey Neistat, but I am going to start vlogging more, somewhat like that. It's not going to be so much self-promotional, though. I felt like if there's anything about Casey's, he tried to be humble, but it was pretty self-promoting. I'm not saying that as an indictment against Casey. But it made him a millionaire, so cool. It'd be nice if I become a millionaire, but I'm not trying to. But the thing I do have is I have some thoughts and some ideas and some things that I want to say in the world, and thoughts that I want to be remembered for, and credit I want to give to people, and people I want to compliment, and I want to bring a reality beyond the typical social media reality. I'm listening to my pug. She's back there on the couch. If she starts to cry, I'm going to have to get her down. I've never tried to bring a reality that is devoid of the bad stuff. A lot of times your social media, you'll have people just showing you the good things in their life. And, they're going to brag about this, or they're going to sensationalize that. I am going to talk about the good and the bad. And I'm going to talk about faith a lot, because the only thing that has brought me to this point in my life, the only reason I'm probably not dead right now, and I kid you not, is faith in God. So there will be some religious things that will pop in here from time to time, but it won't be heavy-handed. It won't be judgmental, because I'm the least judgmental person in the world, because I have no holiness about myself or anything. But there will be some Christianity eventually working into a vlog. More than anything, what you're going to get from me is you're going to get some thankfulness. You're going to get just some things in my life that I'm thankful for. some people, talking about some people that have changed my life, bits that I think you might find useful in life, hopefully some uplifting stuff. And I'm not going to burden anyone with all the things going on in my life that are tough or weird, but I am going to start, and there are some weird things, but I am going to start talking about bits of my life again in sort of a vlog type fashion. And I think I'll do this at least once a week, maybe a couple times a week, maybe more than that. Just depends on how I'm feeling. The first thing I'd like to do tonight is talk about my wife. And so I'm going to pull up the chair a little tighter, a little closer here. She doesn't expect me to talk about this, and I'm sure her butthole will tighten up when she sees that I've done a vlog about her. She's going to sit there and go, oh, good gosh, what's he going to say? She knows I'm going to say good things, though, because my wife is being pretty awesome. About Nikki, I want to tell you, and I'm not going to go into, Nikki, don't worry, I'm not going to go into crazy detail about her life. But I'm going to say some things I'm very proud about with my wife. Tonight, she is working a night shift, an extra shift she had to work at the hospital. Now, I want to tell you, when I first met Nikki, she had come out of some rough times, just like I'd come out of some rough times. And she was working like 3 tough jobs. I mean, she was just trying to make ends meet. And she had had some very interesting career pathways. She actually owned her own restaurant at one time and was a very good restaurateur. So I have no idea how hard, when she describes to me all the things that were involved in it, all the regulatory things, all the personnel things, it's just crazy, not just coming up with menus and cooking and all that, but the business end of it. I was super impressed when it was probably like our second or third date, she started telling me what it was like to run her own business. And it was way tougher than I could have imagined. When just me seeing it in my head, it sounded insane. But she had come out of some jobs that had been just, I don't know, not bad jobs, but jobs that had just been thankless. And she'd had to deal with some support type jobs, like administrative assistant type jobs and stuff like that. And immediately I saw in Nikki something way more capable than what she had been able to do with her career. And I realized Nikki just needed opportunity. And she'd actually, when she was young, they recognized how brilliant she was from a science, mathematics point of view. And she was offered a scholarship to a university to go. She was going to go into some sort of medical field. But as life things happened, things that were difficult in her life, she was unable to do that. And some sort of tragic, bad things sort of happened, situational things that kept her from doing that. She sort of had to flee, go away, and I'm not saying this the right way. I don't want to say it the wrong way. She had to escape from some difficulties, and one thing or another led her to where she was when she met me. And so, same kind of thing with me. I just had we had some similar backgrounds, but anyway, to fast forward through all the bad stuff, I saw great potential in Nikki. I remember we sat and we talked, and I said, you know, if you had it all to do over again, if you could do it, if you could go back to school, what would you want to be? And she said, well, I would want to be something in the medical field. So that's kind of what I always thought. And she actually always thought she'd like to be a coroner, which I thought was crazy. But she said she thought she could be a coroner. And I said, well, you know what? Let's go back to school. Just take some classes and see where it leads. And she started taking some community college courses. Some of them online, some of them at the community college. And I think right quick, she started to realize, you know, I've got more brains than I thought I did. I think at first she wasn't quite as confident as she wanted to be. And she was afraid, but she moved forward with faith. I had told her, I said, I've got total faith in you. You can be whatever you want to be. You're young enough, you can still go out and you can make a 25, 30-year career for yourself. Even now, you can go back to school, you can get a degree, and you can go do it. So just to fast forward to this vlog is about the fact that she went out and did that at, I think, roughly age 37. I think it was when Nikki started. It took about almost 3 years for her to get her cardiopulmonary therapist degree. It's actually, if you see a person that says an RRT, it's registered respiratory therapist. But it's not just respiration. It's not just the lungs. They have to do a lot with the heart too. It's actually the degrees in cardiopulmonary therapy. So she's actually in the cardiopulmonary department now at Grace Hospital, or at Caroline's Healthcare System, Blue Ridge it's called now. But she always wanted to be this. She took these incredibly tough classes. This is not, when you say community college, if you're talking about a science or medical degree, it is tough. It's as tough as any other college. As a matter of fact, most of our RNs, our nurses, and a lot of our medical support people come from community colleges. And so I used to be a human resources director I've been at 2 different community colleges. So my background was working in a support role at community colleges. So I knew there's good quality education to be had there. Nikki rolled up her sleeves. Man, she took chemistry. She took advanced mathematics. She took microbiology. She took, I don't know, man, I can't even start to tell you all the anatomy and physiology. There was a whole battery of prerequisites she had to have before she could even get into the program. And I mean, man, she just went like a trooper through all of it. I can just remember, we're sitting there she's trying to work out some complicated math things, and I have rudimentary math skills, but I sit and I worked with her on that, but I kept watching her. I tried to help in little bits as I could. And then I started seeing her get to a point where she was so beyond me that I couldn't do anything. I could offer no help. And I was worthless to her, other than the fact that I said, you dedicate yourself to this. You're not going to work. You're going to go to school. And it was, for me, it's like being a single parent. You know what I'm saying? It was sort of like that. But I knew it would be in that kind of role for my wife. But I knew it would be worth it. If she could realize her potential, then it would change our lives. And so it's funny how I think certain people looked at it as kind of like odd. Well, so your wife's not working? So I said, no, she's working. She's working on a degree that is going to change our life. And so she started with Caroline's Healthcare System, Blue Ridge. She did her clinicals. In other words, it takes about 3 years to get a associate's degree in cardiopulmonary. You have to go about a year of prerequisites to prove you're smart enough to get into the 2-year program. Then you do your 2-year program, which includes, she did clinicals at probably 11 or 12 different hospitals. It was crazy, the amount of work she was doing, the amount of studying she's doing, cramming. She went and she has to take 2 rounds of tests, and she passed both rounds the first time, which is tough to do. So she got her license, registered respiratory therapist. Now she is in the program at UNC Charlotte, getting her bachelor's degree. She's working 12-hour shifts at night. She did her initial, I think, maybe 60 days or so. Maybe it's 30 days, 30 or 60 days, training with the day shift so she could learn how to chart and all these things like that, the business end of being a respiratory therapist. But then she got assigned to the night shift. And folks, here's the thing I want you to know. What I want to say about what she does is it's way more than you would believe. A lot of people think respiratory therapists just give breathing treatments. The people that give breathing treatments, because that's probably the most apparent thing that people see that are like going into a hospital that have a loved one there. But what they really do is they do that. That is part of what they do. But they also put people on ventilators, which is highly difficult to do, to get the ventilator set just right. The ventilator is an incredibly complicated machine. They intubate people. Nikki had to go through whole rounds of intubation, which is very hard even for a doctor to do. If you remember watching the old ER show, you remember the big deal they'd make about intubating people. Intubation is a tough thing. And Nikki's sort of an ambidextrous person, so it works to her advantage that she can use her left hand really well, because it's kind of important you have really good control of your left hand when you're doing the intubation. So she does that kind of thing. I think maybe the first year at Grace they don't allow her to do it, but she's successfully done it many times during her clinicals. But she is also the respiratory therapist. The cardiopulmonary therapists are the people they call in when there's someone coding. So in other words, if somebody's dying, if somebody's heart is stopping, they stopped breathing. And so the RRTs are sort of like your superheroes, truly, when it comes to saving lives, that people that are on their way out of this world. And so, you know, Nikki is very careful not to share with me specifics that would be HIPAA violations, but she does tell me about her day in, day out challenges. And she faces situations that are very tragic, very sad, sometimes very inspirational, you know, situations where people are just dying and you know they're dying. And all you can do is do your best to try your best to save them and keep them alive as best you can. Sometimes she's the person that pulls the plug. You know, sometimes she's the last medical person to have contact with somebody because, you know, it's come down to a point where they're on a machine and that's the only thing keeping them alive is that machine breathing for them. And the family has to make that decision. So Nikki's there. It's a tough thing for her to have to deal with. And because she deals with a lot of life and death and making sure that people breathe, she makes sure they're getting air. She makes sure that their heart is beating. So it's equally as much about the heart as it is about the lungs, because those two functions in your body are so interrelated. Your heart and lungs are right there together. She's a heart and lung specialist. And so she's getting her BSRT, Bachelor of Science in Respiratory Therapy. She was Student of the Year for the last semester at Catawba Valley Community College. She was Respiratory Student of the Year last year. So I am super proud of her. I'm super proud of the fact that she's going there and just kicking butt and doing a great, awesome job at our hospital, the same hospital I work at. And I worked there for 12 years, went away for a couple years to Mission, which was a great place too. Now I'm back. I'm back working at Caroline's Healthcare again, the Blue Ridge system up here, which is 2 hospitals and a bunch of other stuff. So I'm a marketing guy, but it's awesome to be married to a true person. It's a clinical person, a person that saves lives, a person that does that interaction with people when they need them the most. Me, I feel like I just try my best to convince people that our hospital's good and that our services are good, and I try to keep people informed. But Nikki's actually out there saving lives. So it is incredible. It's incredible to hear her just describe her evenings. I wish I had that kind of skill. I wish I could have been that. I don't think I'm cut that way. I think I'm exactly what I should be. I'm just a graphic designer, a video guy, a storyteller, a writer. I'm all those things from a marketing point of view that you need to, if you want to have somebody on your marketing team, I can help you tell your story and make you look good. And so that's the only thing I do is I help tell the stories, but she's there in the story. She's part of the story. And so my first vlog is, hey, I'm married to a pretty cool woman. This is not sucking up to her. She wouldn't even like that one bit if I were sucking up to her. I'm just here to say, I tell her every day I'm proud of her and I love her. And I don't know if that sinks in or not, but I'm going to tell the world I'm proud of her and I love her. She's a pretty killer, excellent wife. This killer sounds bad for respiratory, but she's a pretty sweet, excellent wife. And there's never a dull moment with her. She's talented. She's a singer. She's a great cook. She's highly opinionated. She's just full of craziness and coolness. And I needed somebody like her in my life after just some of the trials that I kind of went through. So that's my first vlog back. There's going to be some commentary about a lot of things going on in my life, some commentary about things that bother me in the world, but it's going to be some positive, uplifting stuff. There may be some bad, but there'll always hopefully be a good side to everything. One thing's for sure, I'm not going to get on here and feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to rag on anything unless it deserves being ragged on. I'm just going to come out and I'm going to try to talk about the positivity, but I'm not going to candy coat anything either. I'm not going to try to make my life look like something it's not. My life is not a fairy tale. My life is a challenge. But it's a cool thing, and YouTube's a big part of the coolness that is my life now. I would never have guessed that I have 14,000 subscribers, which is what it's coming up on, and that maybe 300 people in the world knew who I was 5 years ago, and or even gave a rat's butt that I was alive, and maybe only really about half a dozen of those really gave a rat's butt that I was alive. But now it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to know that I have these subscribers and I have people watching the videos. So here I am. I'm not the new Casey Neistat. I'm the old Tony Lee Glenn, coming back after a bit of a sabbatical from a vlogging point of view. Like I say, not even realizing I was a vlogger, but I'm probably going to become a vlogger here somewhat in coming months. Peace to all who watch. Subscribe to the channel if you like.